Here we are, and this is going to be our second scenario. You'll notice that we're back in our test environment, and in this case we don't have any other windows open. Now, what we have to notice here is that there is a Trojan on this computer, and the person may not have noticed it, but let's go ahead and let's check out a few things. If I go under Task Manager, and since this is my test machine, I don't really have any extra programs installed that are out of the ordinary. We're going to be able to look here and notice a few things. Okay. First thing is that we don't really have that many services. Most computers you go under, especially Windows XP, you're going to have quite a few of these processes running. And of course, for every other program that you open, let's say for example I open up Internet Explorer, then you're going to notice that it's going to add an iExplorer process here, and I can go ahead and end that, and it's going to exit out of Internet Explorer like so. So I want to go ahead and show you a few things in here. We have our system idle process, we have our system process, we have a few other ones like the Windows update process, and we have SVC host. Now SVC host, the number of these that are open can vary depending upon how many network connections you have open. We also have our spooler service for printing and whatnot. Now we also have an LSAS service here, and there should not be more than one of these. However, we do see that there are more than one of these processes running. Alright, this is going to be what we're going to focus on for this portion of the DVD. If we go ahead and do a run, and if we pull up msconfig, and of course the task manager is always going to be on top, so I have to minimize it, and then let's just go under startup. Okay, you're going to notice that we have a few different items here, and we have our virtual box. Alright, that's a legitimate process. We have CTF-mon, which is the Windows process, but we also have a few other ones here, and we have one here that just says 1. That's really odd, and that's not right, so that's kind of funny. We also have another one here that just says LSAS. Alright, now if we expand the path of where this file is located, we're going to notice that unlike the other system processes that we had up top, the VBox tray and the CTF-mon, it's not under the System32 folder. Okay, most services that you have, well, most processes that you have that run during startup, they're going to be in the System32 directory, or in this case the Google update, which was installed with Google Chrome. It exists under a clearly defined folder here that says Google update.exe. This is just under a generic location under the users folder under application data, so it's trying to hide out, and so we obviously have a problem here. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean this off, because you all may remember that a while back there was something called the Sasser worm, and it actually used to corrupt this file. And in fact, I'm not even referring to this file, because this file itself is a fake version of the LSAS process. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel out of here, and we're gonna go ahead and clean this particular issue with Spybot search and destroy. Now, sure, Combo Fix or Hitman or any of these except for Hijack This would be able to normally take care of this. Hijack This has a different purpose, but we're just going to go ahead in this case and just pull up Spybot search and destroy and do a run, and it's prompted me for the language. I'm going to select English, click on next. You can read through the end user license agreement if you want. Click on next, leave that in default location. Now right here you'll notice that we have a few different options. I don't want additional languages, I don't want to change the skins, that's unnecessary. I don't want to download updates in this case, but normally 90% of the time you leave that checked. Just in this case I don't want to check it, because I want to show you the other way that we can actually update the definitions. And the separate secure shredder application, I'll leave that be, because sometimes of course the software needs separate applications to securely delete files. Clicking on next, and this is just the group that's gonna go under the start menu under, and here we have a few more options. You can use Internet Explorer protection, which is SD helper, and all that does is just allows for Spybot Search and Destroy to harden certain vulnerabilities in Internet Explorer. But in this case, I don't want that. You can also use T-Timer, which is a service that runs in the background, and it's going to warn you every time a registry change is made by any program, alright? So it can be pretty useful. It can be nagging at times, but it can be fairly useful. In this case, I don't really need it. And quick launch, of course, not really using quick launch. Gonna click on next and going to install the program. And we're gonna go ahead and run Spybot Search and Destroy. So first we're gonna get a legal stuff window here, and this window is just telling you that if there are any programs that you have installed that use any advertisement robots, this program may possibly mess them up or disable them. So I don't want it to show that message again. Gonna go ahead and do OK. Do I want a registry backup? No, but in some cases, if you're doing this on someone else's computer, you may want to create a registry backup just in case. Do we want to search for updates? No. Do I want to immunize this system? No. I'll show that to you later. And we're going to go ahead and start using this program. So you can see here we have a few different options. And the first option that I want to go ahead and show you is just the Spybot Search and Destroy option. It's not going to let me do that right now because I don't have up-to-date definitions. So if I try to do it, it's going to tell me you need to install the detection updates, which is fine. So next we have our recovery, and this is so that if you have any files that are quarantined that may have been legitimate files that you didn't want to have quarantined, that you can always recover them here. And we have our immunization area, and this is what I made reference to earlier. It gives you an option here to immunize certain things such as the cookies, the images, pop-ups and different things, your settings. In Firefox, it'll also do an Internet Explorer, the 32-bit version, and if you have the 64-bit version, it will do it in there as well. And it also hardens the host file. Now I'll show you the host file later as well. And we have our option to update, and we have a donations area just so that if you want to make a donation you can. So in this case we're gonna go ahead and just run, oh, we can't run the scan yet. I keep on forgetting we have to do the update first. So if we go back into our tools directory, you remember we downloaded a secondary file which was Spybot Search and Destroy includes. I'm gonna go ahead and run that, and just gonna leave this as default. And you can see it just went straight through, and all that does is update the virus definition database. And once we do that, gonna go ahead and run Spybot Search and Destroy, and this time we're gonna go ahead and just kick the scan straight off. And as soon as it comes back up, because these scans can take a while, then